Okay, cool. So welcome everybody to our webinar. We would have liked to host this live in the Middelburg, but because of the current situation in the world, I have to say, we're forced to doing it via internet. So I hope everything will be fine. You're doing fine as well. You're safe. So like I said, in case there are any questions during the webinar, please let me know. These are the possibilities to ask your questions. Pim and Nienke will be moderating the chat. So that's a ground rule for this webinar at the moment. I will briefly try to explain what our program will look like, what are the challenges we're facing, and in case anything is unclear, you can ask directly, and after the webinar there is also time for questions. So Middelburg, that's where ICT is housed. So where are we? We're in a small village in the Netherlands, but we're close to big main cities around it. So in case you want to travel when you're living in Middelburg, it's quite quickly you're going to the bigger cities around it. So, but don't hesitate. As Middelburg, the city itself is looking beautiful as well. So I'm always saying it looks like a version of the little Amsterdam. We have the canals, we have a beautiful cultural history center. So it's not only going from Middelburg to other cities. Middelburg itself is also worth a visit. This is our new building. It's called the Greenwood, het Groene Woud. We're located in a new building. Especially the inside is looking great. I cannot show you at the moment, but we have great classrooms and separate rooms where you can have your meetings with your own group. But the group size and all that part I will cover later on in this webinar. But it's a nice new building, refurbished, and at the moment they're also working on it. To make it feel more ICT. The third floor nowadays is completely ICT, and it will get our own culture in there as well. So that's looking very nice at the moment. What's also a big plus, which is coming, is our coming joint research center. It's being placed next to the building. In this part, we will get half a floor, which will be available for our data science part of the program, which we'll also cover lately. And the Joint Research Center is currently being built. So we hope it's being done by the end of 2021. But we're not sure whether we will make it because of the current circumstances, but we expect to be ready around that time. So during your stay in Middelburg during our program, it should be possible for you to go there as well. But information technology, it also sounds nice. There's a lot of IT out there, but we, as a program, we have three main pillars which we covered our program on. The first one is have an impact on local and global scale. So what we're trying to do is our program, we have a lot of projects which you will work on, which are local. So we have local companies which have an issue or they want to improve something. We're going to find a solution for that. And if the solution is good, you can also upscale it to a global level. So it's not only focusing on the local businesses just around Middelburg, but it's also focusing more and more on the bigger companies outside of Middelburg. Because the IT solutions in small can also be scaled up to a global scale. The second part, and I hope our students can also say that that's correct. It's also a part of enjoy the learning. It's not only the teachers explaining you stuff from 9 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. We're giving brief instructions on what to do. And afterwards, you're putting it directly into practice. And the personal touch is the part where we will also coach you, especially in the beginning. every 10 weeks, we will have a conversation on how everything is going. In case you say one conversation in 10 weeks is not enough for me, I need more. We can always do that. So we can always upscale the amount of coaching moments just to feel you to make you feel comfortable during our program. And it's not only focusing the conversation, not only focusing on the program or issues or lacking in study points. It's also if there's something besides school, you can also have a discussion with the teachers around that. So it's not only focusing on our program. And the third, I think it's a real main important pillar is the be part of a strong community. So the building we've just shown every year from the ICT program is getting lectured in that building. So the first, second, third, and fourth year, you will all mix and blend in the school. So it makes it easier for first year to ask questions to a third or fourth year student, and they will always be helpful to help you. So these are the three main pillars of our program. Are there any, if anything is unclear or you want to have more in-depth knowledge about something, please let us know.
No questions so far. 3 new people have joined in. Hey guys, welcome.
Yeah. So in case there are no questions or anything, then I will just continue. Because what are the challenges we're currently facing? It's not only Netherlands, but it's also globally. That's where the local and global comes from. So we're fighting the rising sea levels at the moment. It's getting warmer on Earth, so the water level is rising and rising. And we're, from an IT point of view, are also trying to find solutions, not to lower the sea level, but how to cooperate with that as humankind. Another big challenge, especially also for Zeeland, is a vital region. There are a lot of elderly, and we have to make them, we have to give them the best life possible for them. We should not say you're old, you can do whatever whatever you want, but we have to make life comfortable for them as much as possible. Another big thing, sustainable agriculture. We're getting more and more projects regarding this. Agriculture to, so as an example, we had a project by the pictures of seeds, they could already see if the plant is going to grow or not. So that's a part of data science where they can see if they have the seeds. We see this in this particular part. We can say that this plant has a possibility of 90% to become a big, strong plant or not. So they don't have to invest in plants which will not grow in the end. So that's one of the main things we're also focusing on nowadays. And of course, renewable energy. We're going to let go of the old fossil energy, and we're finding new ways of getting energy up and running. And these are also projects which you will see in the coming years coming more and more to our university. Then our program, how is it built up? Basically, this is it. So we start when you receive your international recognized diploma. Then you can start the IT program in Middelburg. And the program usually tends to take 4 years. And then when you're done, you either can start working or go to another university, like a more technical university in Eindhoven or Twente, or Leiden, any university, by the way. So you go from a University of Applied Sciences to a university. So, and I say 4 years because if you don't have a delay in your program, then 4 years is the time it will take. Year one, like you see, we have coloring blocks. First year is divided in 4 main blocks. We start with a block called computer science. So in case you don't have any background in IT, so or you didn't create a website or anything, you will learn the basics here. In case you did something on IT part or building a website or anything like that, still you will get the introduction to computer science. just to get everybody on one level of developing. So also in case you have experience in it, this will still learn you new possibilities of developing. So we have a certain base which we require for the rest of the program. In case you already have some knowledge, still you will learn here some new tricks, or we can give you a project which is more challenging. Then the second part is game development. You're not going to build the next Red Dead Redemption or Grand Theft Auto, but you will learn to create a game here for children of the age from 8 to 12. So basically it's elementary school. You have to create a game within 8 weeks in which they will learn something about a particular subject. This will differ every year. So every year we get a new project, and it's very challenging because the people you're creating it for are in the years of 8 to 12. So their demands on the game are less than when you actually work for a company, which makes it very interesting to learn, at least. Then the last 2 blocks, every block consists out of 10 weeks, by the way. The last 2 blocks are combined. There you will create a website for a small business. So at this moment, they're creating a website for another school to make sure that they get the correct parts of work done. Or they're also creating a website for a construction company so that they can make a better price estimation whenever a customer comes in. So you see there's a wide variety of projects there. And in this part you will learn on programming with Laravel, PHP. And you can go as in-depth as you want. So if you want to make it completely crazy, the website, you're allowed to do it. If you want to make just the basics and focus more on the content for the company, it's also fine. And in this half a year, you also get introduced to the Agile Scrum way of working, which I will elaborate a little bit more down the webinar. Year 2 consists out of 2 blocks, so basically a combination of two blocks. We start with the creating business value. That's the theme of the first half year, in which you will learn continuous integration. So more like if I want to deploy something I created into production, how can I do that in an autonomous way? But it's also a part of which covers design thinking. So usually a business comes with an issue and you have to find a solution. But within design thinking, you're going to think more about, is this really the problem for the company or is it something else? So you try to deep dive more into issues instead of just focusing on a solution. So one of the projects we had is create an immersive business case for self-reliance of the elderly, in which we did last year. And it went from a smartwatch for the nurses with the elderly, showing a summary of that particular person, which pills they need, what time they need it, just by passing the doorway. Instead of reading a booklet for that person, they got it on a smartwatch, which was one invention, and the other one was a seat which could which could have a conversation with the elderly, so they feel less alone. So you see, we're also trying to give something back to community. We're not only focusing on getting stuff done for business, we're also trying to make the world a better place, so to say. So you see, we do something for the elementary school, we do for the elderly, we work in a very broad way with our projects. The second part of the year is focusing on data science, which is covered by machine learning. We use the CRISP-DM cycle, which is a cycle to check, you do something, you check whether it works, and you reevaluate and you try it again. So you're constantly working in cycles to make your product better and better and better. There you will focus on Python, security and ethics is a part, especially ethics is a part nowadays. Oh, in IT. I briefly touched my screen. So projects we have there is like data science, I said, with the seeds, which they could see if it grows or not. Another part for the agriculture part is especially with fish. We're now working with a fish company. By just looking at the fish and the variables, they could say how big the fish in the end will be, and they can calculate how much space they need to swim, so it doesn't get too occupied in the bassins they have over there. Then after 2 years of hard work, we enter the third year, where you in the end pick your destiny. So the first 2 years is common for everybody, and after 2 years you can make the decision on which part of IT you want to get more in-depth knowledge. For our international part, we have two different how do you say it, two different tracks. One is the software engineer, where you focus more on programming, how to deploy automatically, security-wise is coming more and more. And data scientist is more there. You will also program, but then more in Python than in a different language. And there you try to get more knowledge on trends, predict the future, basically. As a part for the data scientist. And you have to make this decision at the end of the second year. So the first 2 years, you don't have to choose anything. Everything will be the same for everybody. After 2 years, you can start making a decision. And of course, we will help you with making that decision. Then after you made the decision, year 3 looks like this. You start with an internship or the minor. So these are in sequential order, but in the end, you can flip-flop them around. The internship is based on your track choice. You either do a software engineer related internship or a data science related internship. And you can decide in which company you want. So you can go abroad, but you have to fix it yourself. But we have some companies where we have a good relationship with, or you remain in the Netherlands, but it's up to you. So basically in year 3, you can go outside of Holland again. The same goes for the minor. You can choose one minor from the HZ, which we offer, or you can do another faculty in the Netherlands, or you can go abroad. So basically year 3, you can go all over the world if you want. Then after a year of going abroad or remaining in Middelburg, it's up to you. We start with the first half year of specialization. There you will get more in-depth knowledge on your track choice. So either you get more in-depth knowledge on software engineer, or you go more in-depth in data science. And then the last half year, we will have your graduation internship. And there is the same rules as for the internship. Either you go abroad or you remain in the Netherlands. It's up to you. So that in a nutshell is our complete program. Are there any questions regarding this? Don't know if anything came in.
Not yet.
Okay. So that's our program in a nutshell. If you want to know more, also Pim and Nienke, you can also ask them after the webinar. So no issues. So what's the impact we're trying to make? Our students do have impact. And we do have a lot of impact, basically. So one of the projects, actually Pim worked on this. It's called Vital Assets. It's a map where you can show what happens in case a dike breaches. What will happen to the mainland behind that dike? So in this case, you see, I don't know if you can see my cursor. I don't think so.
Yes.
You can?
Yeah.
So here you see this dike breached. What happens to the vital assets laying behind that dike? And it's an how to say, it's a dynamic map. So in case you click on it, the mainland becomes dry again, and then you can check different dikes. This is for our client. It's called Rijkswaterstaat. They are the owner of all these vital assets in Holland, and they have to make sure that everything remains up and running, so nothing bad happens to Holland. You have anything to add, Pim, or?
No,
Okay.
it was really clear.
Thank you. So the self-reliance of the elderly. So I already briefly spoke about this. So we create solutions to avoid loneliness. I think 2 or 3 years back, actually, they built a virtual reality app for the elderly. So they don't feel they're still at home, but they could have the feeling of being outside. So that's also what IT can do for elderly. So they have they're feeling less lonely. Or nowadays with the technology, with phones and tablets, they can have more and more conversations also to their children or grandchildren. But this group of elderly is difficult to reach as they're not used to using IT, which makes it also fun. So students last year from the second year came up with all innovative apps and stuff like that, and the elderly say, "Yeah, it's a nice app, but I don't know how to use it." So it's a different group where you're producing it for, which is really nice. It gives you a great insight on how they think, and you especially learn there that what you think is the right thing isn't always the right thing for the people you're building it for. And the immersive applications for the young people as well. So trying to make education more and more fun in primary school. Usually on primary schools are trying to also already start programming. In case they're not doing it, we try to make them liking IT more and more. Then the part of personal learning, which makes us, I would say, unique in the Netherlands. So we're learning in small groups. You work in small project groups. We stimulate learning by doing. So as said, we give a brief workshop on the knowledge you have to know. And then afterwards, you're putting it directly into practice. So the years of 9 to 5 colleges, 5 days a week, those are not the things we're doing at HZ nowadays. We're focusing on projects mainly. How we do it is the agile way of working. So every 2 weeks you have a sprint. Every 2 weeks you have to deliver something. Either it's a design or already starting to program something. After 2 weeks, we try to have the client give feedback as well, which is happening more and more. In that case, you're actually building something which also the business side really wants, or the elderly really wants. So you're getting your product only gets better and better. How we do it is every day it's a stand-up to discuss the work of the day. So every day your team will come together and explain to each other what they will do. In case there is a question within the group, it has to be arranged. And every 2 weeks, a retrospective with coaches. The coaches in this case are the teachers. We're also going to grade you for the retrospectives. And there you will tell something about something you did the last 2 weeks, which you actually have to stop. So it could be from I have to stop coming late, I have to stop procrastinating. What I really did well was programming, and I have to start learning more about a different coding part, for instance. And then afterwards, after you talk something about yourself, you will talk about the team, what you liked about the team, what you did not like about the team. And then the team gets some time to also evaluate you. So what did you do? What did they like? What didn't they like? So it keeps you sharp and fresh, and you every time you get better. So in the first year, it's laagdrempelig.
Low level.
Sorry?
Maybe low level. And also we have a question in the chat.
Oh.
It's from Anonymous asking, is there any contact with Dutch students during the study?
Yes, so we're all in the same building. And for Dutch students, it's also possible to do the English track. So it could be that also Dutch students will actually do the international track. So in that case, you will definitely meet them. And because we're in one building, and it's not really big, so it's not like it's covering a couple of miles, you will definitely get to know them. and we are building a community and for our students. So we don't make a division between international and national. So I hope that answers the question. And like I said, in the first year, it will be low level, the evaluation of each other, and it will get more upper level during that part. But it's only to make you better as a professional. Like I said, workshops, new skills are learned in short workshops and practical assignments. So whatever you learn, you can put into practice. So no new knowledge get lost. Community part. We're building a community together. So we have a nice building with a nice terrace outside. Especially Zeeland has the most sun hours of the whole Netherlands. So it's nice to sit there and work.
Stefan, we got another
yes.
question.
Yes.
Annan is asking, the programming languages that will be taught are Python, Java, and C. Which version of C?
Good question. You're asking the person who doesn't know. So I think it's C shell.
Sharp, I think.
C sharp. Yeah.
It's the equivalent of Java, but a little bit different.
So in case we're not basically just learning you one language, we're learning you how to program, and we do it with a language. But it could be that within 2 years we choose something different. So it's not that strict, like we're going to teach you half year Java, for instance. In case I don't hear anything, I guess it's clear.
Yeah, he asked C++, but it's C sharp. Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, we're not focusing too much on one strict language. We're explaining on how to program instead of just one language. The coaching, I think I already discussed this. So especially in the beginning, we tend to meet you at least once every block, like I shown in the beginning. In case you need more, of course, we can do more talks, and it's not only focusing on school and the program. It's broader than that. So in case you say I miss home or anything like that, we're also there for you. So that part of coaching is actually really good for our study, and the students think likewise. So that's good news. We also have a lectorate, data science. We get most of our projects come through our lectorate. So there's a big research group. Some of our lectors we have one lector who's also a teacher, and most of our teachers actually do some work for the research group as well. And the most projects we do come via this research group. So it's very meaningful to have this. We're in close contact with them as a program. And every year we have a hackathon. Don't know if you know what a hackathon is, but it's a 24-hour marathon, basically, in which you have to find a solution to a problem. Last year, it was the first 12 hours was of hard coding and working on a solution. And then after 12 hours, it was a decision up to the team whether you would go and play video games or relax or anything like that, or you want to focus on your solution. So it's up to you. So it's hard work, but it's also a lot of fun. And you can decide for yourself if you want to stay awake for 24 hours or not. Involved in our education. So these are some of the companies which we work for. Local companies as well as global. Yeah. So these are the companies basically. I don't have anything to add here. Perspective. Of course, after 4 years, I hope your dream job is ahead. So it's being checked, and in Europe alone, there will be 1 million outstanding job vacancies in the IT market nowadays, which they have issues to fill. So in case you're doing IT, there's a big probability you will have a job afterwards. Most important part is having some fun doing it.
There is a question if the hackathon is a mandatory thing.
No.
No.
No, so it's if you want to join, you can join. It's not mandatory, but you do get study credit for it. So we have a program, it's called HZP, where you can get credit for stuff you do besides our program. This is one of the things you can get the credits for. So it's not mandatory, but it's nice to do and a nice way to get some extra credit.
And it is for the community. Yeah, you're building up the community.
Then the part of the admission and application. So in case you think, this IT program, it suits me, you can apply on StudyLink, create an account, log in, and apply to HZ University of Applied Sciences, plus the program of your choice, which is called HBO ICT. You have to submit your documents like your diploma and stuff. And then the admission office will inform you about your eligibility within 2 to 3 weeks. So what are the requirements? It's a high school diploma and an official English test. I know that there's a IELTS test and there's another one nowadays, which you can do from home to show that your English is of a certain level, which is used within our program. The deadline for application. For non-EU students, it's nearing. It's the 15th of June. For EU students, it's the 1st of August. The fees and costs. The tuition fees are shown here. Additional costs, you see that the rent money for student room is quite low to compare to the rest of Holland. Cost of living is around 250. And within our program, books are not needed. I think for 1 or 2 courses it's needed, so it's barely anything. But what is mandatory is a good working laptop. That's something you definitely need. And in case you have any more questions regarding fees or applications, you can go to the website, which is shown in the right top corner. You want to stay in touch with us? Join our international students social media platforms. We have 2 things. We have an Instagram account, which is HZ International. And on Facebook, we have a HZ Prospective Students, which is also a place you can ask questions. In case you have any questions, you can also talk to our student ambassadors. Nienke and Pim are in the call. Ruben is also our student ambassador, which is not here, unfortunately. But you can ask them questions.
There is a question right now.
Okay.
If it gets confusing to study all these languages together, it's asked to Pim, so maybe Pim can answer.
Yeah. So I'm at the end of my slides also, Pim, so you can take as much time as you want.
Okay. Well, all the languages have some kind of base you're programming with, like it's always the same for loops, if loops, the same key concepts behind it. So if you're looking for an algorithm, a graph search algorithm or a binary search, whatever, it is almost the same, but a little bit syntax different in each language. And that's just by Googling a few keywords and you're good to go.
And you don't study them together. For one project you use the one, and for another project you study another one. So it's not a whole program with 5 languages at the same project. That's not the case.
You're kind of building it up every time. So you begin with a quick website in HTML, CSS, but then you go a bit more deeper with actual programming languages. So you kind of build it up, and so it doesn't really get confusing at all, for me at least. For some, it could, I don't know. And also, Keval has another question. If this pandemic continues and some students are not able to travel, will the course then be taught for those
online?
Date be changed from September to January or March?
So at the moment, we're not really sure what it will look like, of course, in September, because it's changing every day. But we assume that in September, we can just start the year as expected, as we usually do. So in Middelburg, in case it's not the case and this pandemic remains, we will start like calls like this.
So the course will be taught online for those students who cannot be here.
Yes. Because I can imagine that one country has a different policy than another, but that's not something we can say at the moment.
Another question is, can I get a student room quickly in Middelburg? Yeah, I think you can get you can find a room. There's campus where a lot of rooms are, and I think you can apply there.
I think in Middelburg it's one of the more easy parts of Holland where you can get a student room.
Can you say like a date within 1 week or 1 month, or so they
That's
know?
something I don't know, but we have two companies, APV and Villex. I think if you drop them a question or anything, I'm not sure. Maybe
Yeah.
Florence, you know how quickly it can be done? If Florence is...
Yes. Yes, let's see. It's very easy to find a room in Middelburg. So I just put the link. You have two accommodation companies, Vilex and APV. So yeah, there's enough. You can have either a studio or a single room, or you can share a room with somebody else. It's very easy. If you contact them, then you will be informed within a few days. You will get an offer. So that's not a problem at all.
Another question, what kind of jobs would be available after the four-year course? So after this, you finish the study.
Yeah, anything IT related you can apply. So basically, when I also did the program of HBO IT in Middelburg. Back then it was in Flushing. Then I started as a IT tester, and then afterwards I became a BI consultant, and now I'm a IT teacher. So it's difficult to say like this is the role you will have, but everything IT related you can apply, and you most probably get the job. There's a screaming shortage of IT trained personnel, and not only in Holland, in the entire of Europe, but also in Holland. It's very easy to get a job. Which is good news, of course. So
there was another question that if the virus continues and the courses will be taught online, will it be for specific students, or will it be for the whole school / every student? And Florence shared a link to the updates on coronavirus. I don't know. Do you have anything to say to that, Stefan?
Yeah, so it's difficult to say what's going to happen. So it also depends on every country. I don't know if our borders will be open for all Europe or specific countries, or only Belgium or France. But I think at the moment the Dutch borders are not closed anyway. So we don't have particular reasoning that one part can come and one part cannot come. So it's all uncertain at the moment.
But when everyone that has applied will be able to follow the lessons starting in September.
Yes.
If it is in Middelburg or online.
Yes, that should be the case, yeah.
Okay.
How everything will be arranged, that's something we also have to check over the summer. So
there's another question. How easy is it for someone with little Dutch to find an English-speaking job in Middelburg?
I think we have quite some international students working in Middelburg and or Flushing. So I guess it should be possible, but not everybody speaks Dutch. Florence, do you maybe know how easy it is?
I would say that most international students in the first year they will just try to adapt to the new learning environment. But what I see is that most of the second year students will have a job. So it's kind of easy to find a job, even if you don't speak Dutch. I must say that it's difficult to learn Dutch because everybody speaks English here. So when you will just try to learn, they will just be so happy to talk to you in English. So it's not that difficult, and Zealand is a tourist area. So there are lots of restaurants, hotels where you can work.
Yeah, and in Holland we get taught English already from elementary school, so our level of English is also pretty high compared to other countries in Europe, except for United Kingdom, of course.
Was it more for a side job or the job after the 4 years of studying?
Is it a question to me or to the person asking the
To the
question?
person.
Oh. If it's regarding the job after 4 years of study, English speaking is never a problem. I worked in a lot of companies in Holland. Basically every time it was in English. So at one point I forgot to talk in Dutch anyway.
The question was for a side job to afford to live here. But there are side jobs for non-Dutch speaking people.
Yeah, because it's a touristic hotspot. There's also a lot of Germans coming which speak English, so. Or you can speak German. So I don't know if there are any more questions for the program or for the students, or if everything is clear.
Can you talk about Duo Study Finance for a bit, please? Is a question.
Yeah, I think you know better than me because I haven't received Duo for a long time.
I think Florence.
Yeah, that's, for international students, it works differently. There's a possibility to apply for tuition, a loan for tuition fees. And we have a person at Rajet who is dedicated to all these kind of questions and help students apply for study finance. The possibilities are really limited for international students, I must say. So yeah, most international students would need to have extra finance for their studies. They would just have to have a side job. Yeah.
Does that answer your question? Yes. Are there any more questions for now? Nothing in the chat.
I don't think
In case
so.
there are no more questions, then you can leave the call by pushing the red square with the white telephone on it. Then you can leave a call. Then I would like to thank you for your presence.
I see one more question about the tuition fees. Will we have to pay the same amount for international students currently mentioned, or will there be a reduced fee if there are online classes?
The fee remains the same, I guess.
Yeah, the fee won't change,
No.
even if you're following online the classes. Okay.
So in case you have any more questions pop up later on, you can go to this website and chat to our students or contact me directly. That's more difficult, I guess. So then I would like to thank you for your presence. Good luck with your choice of what to study after your diploma. I hope it will be us, but always choose something which you really love and want to do. So good luck with that choice.